Good morning, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It's Thursday, February 5th, 2026, and this is your AM update.
We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen.
NBC News host Savannah Guthrie makes a desperate plea as the search for her missing mother, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, enters its fifth day.
Effective immediately, we will draw down 700 people effective today, 700 law enforcement personnel.
Czar Tom Homan announces a force reduction in Minneapolis he says is partly due to increased local law enforcement cooperation. Two major medical organizations take a position against performing permanent life-altering surgeries on gender-confused children following major pressure from the Trump administration. And would-be Trump assassin Ryan Routh faces sentencing. All that and more coming up in just a moment on a busy AM update. If you are stressed out about getting out of debt, it's go time. This is one of those moments where timing matters. And let me tell you about Done With Debt. 2025 was a record year for them. People who collectively had more than $102 million in debt turned to them for help. And right now may be the best time to negotiate a settlement if you need one. Done With Debt tracks credit card and loan company behavior. They're experienced at knowing who's negotiating and when, and what it takes to get you the biggest reduction possible. Whether you are carrying $10,000 or $500,000 in debt, this may be the best chance you will get all year. So consider scheduling a free consultation. It only takes a few minutes. Imagine waking up without that weight on your shoulders and doing it without taking out another loan or filing for bankruptcy. Done With Debt helps you through the debt relief process so you keep more of your paycheck every month. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Go there right now. NBC News host Savannah Guthrie speaking out as the search for her missing 84-year-old mother, Nancy Guthrie, enters its fifth day. On Tuesday, multiple outlets receiving a ransom note demanding money from the Guthrie family by Thursday or threatening that Nancy would be killed. Savannah, flanked by her brother Cameron and sister Annie, posting this video plea to Instagram last night.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She's 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
This as crime journalist and Drop Dead Serious podcast host Ashley Banfield reports that Annie's husband, Tommaso Cioni, may be the prime suspect, citing one senior law enforcement source reporting that has not been matched by any other outlet. Mr. Cioni has not responded to this report, but the Pima County Sheriff's Office releasing a statement Wednesday that reads in part, quote, "At this point, investigators have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. The sharing of unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible," end quote. Ms. Banfield reacting to that yesterday on the MK Show.
I've had it happen a million times, and they don't want to release that publicly at this point. They're not naming him publicly at this point. That's how I look at that. Listen, I said very carefully, may be prime suspect at this point. I did not say they've got their suspect at this time. That's not what my source said. I understand that they're doing their work, and they want to probably keep him talking. You know how it works. The minute somebody stops talking and they get a lawyer, it's harder. The work is a little bit harder.
Authorities were seen at Annie and Tommaso's home on Wednesday, placing some items from the house into their own vehicles before returning back inside. News Nation's Brian Enton reporting that he saw the officials taking a ring light and a tripod into the home, which may have been to assist with the siblings' video plea. Meanwhile, several news outlets on Wednesday, including the Daily Mail, The Hollywood Reporter, and Fox News, updating their reporting about who was the last to see Nancy Guthrie on the night she disappeared, noting that it was not Annie Guthrie who dropped off her mother Nancy at home on Saturday night after a church function, but Tommaso Cioni. In another twist, the story about how Nancy's disappearance first came to light may also be changing. Initially, reports stated that Nancy's friend called the family when Nancy did not show up to church on Sunday. The Daily Mail now reporting, however, that a source tells the outlet, ever since the COVID pandemic, Nancy attends church from home via live stream, noting that the congregants would have no way of knowing if she was participating or not. Investigators yesterday returning to Nancy Guthrie's home, which they had returned to the family the day before, putting up new crime scene tape and bringing in canine units, that search reportedly lasting about 2 hours. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos telling the New York Times early Wednesday that it is too soon to say whether this abduction was random or targeted. TMZ reporting authorities are also looking into an early January trespassing report filed by an elderly man living about 10 minutes away from the Guthrie home. An alleged trespasser triggering a motion sensor on the lawn, which turned on a floodlight. That person then fleeing on foot before anyone could get a look at him. There was no attempted break-in and nothing was stolen from the lawn, reports TMZ. Local and federal officials are participating in the search, Sheriff Nanos saying yesterday investigators have no reason to believe Guthrie is deceased. President Trump calling Savannah Guthrie on Wednesday with well wishes and an offer to help in whatever way he can. Soon after, Axios reporting that FBI Director Kash Patel is heading to Arizona. The next press conference is set for 1 o'clock Eastern today. Anyone with information is urged to call 88-CRIME or 520-882-7463. Border Czar Tom Homan yesterday in Minneapolis announcing an immediate drawdown of 700 federal agents tasked with immigration enforcement operations. Since arriving in Minnesota last week, Homan reorganizing the chain of command in Minnesota, which he says has led to a more efficient operational force. Homan also describing productive and ongoing conversations as he is urging local leaders to help the administration deport criminal illegal aliens by allowing ICE to take custody of them as they're being released from local jails. Under Minnesota's sanctuary city laws, most counties previously did not honor ICE detainer requests. Homan saying yesterday some jurisdictions are softening up.
We currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now and allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets. Unprecedented cooperation. And I'll say it again. This is efficient, requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. This frees up more officers to arrest and remove criminal aliens. More officers taking custody of criminal aliens directly from the jails means less officers on the street doing criminal operations.
It is unclear which jurisdictions are now cooperating with the feds. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, or HCSO, which covers Minneapolis, telling CBS, quote, "Our policy has not changed." According to the sheriff's website, quote, "HCSO does not work with any agency on civil immigration enforcement. That means we do not assist with or comply with any civil immigration requests from ICE." CNN yesterday pressing Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey on Hennepin County's refusal to cooperate with the Trump administration.
During the Obama years, the Hennepin County Jail actually had a policy where they let an ICE agent keep an office there. And so the policy has clearly been, under a Democratic president, what now the Trump administration is asking for. I mean, big picture, do you think it's good policy for the jails to follow an ICE detainer and hand someone over if they've committed a crime?
And that's not our jurisdiction. What I would say is that there are mechanisms to do this lawfully. The federal government could seek some form of federal warrant. that warrant could run part and parcel with the warrant that already exists at the state level. And if they were to do that, there would be a legal mechanism for detention after bail has been posted. But what we can't have from a legal perspective is a second detention after the obligations under the first detention have been met.
Homan telling reporters yesterday, while clearly the administration would like more, it is happy with the cooperation it is now receiving.
I also want to reiterate and emphasize we are not requiring jails to hold people past their normal release time for immigration purposes. We're not asking anyone to be an immigration officer. We are not asking any state or local official to do immigration enforcement activity. They are not. By merely notifying us before they release them, they don't hold them 1 minute past they normally would. Given this increase in unprecedented collaboration, and as a result of the need for less law enforcement officers to do this work in a safer environment, I have announced effective immediately we will draw down 700 people effective today, 700 law enforcement personnel.
While Homan says there he's not requiring jails to hold illegals past their release time, on Tuesday, the Minnesota Star-Tribune reporting Homan is negotiating with the Minnesota Sheriff's Association on a framework that would allow local authorities to hold criminal illegal aliens in custody for up to 48 hours after their scheduled releases, allowing ICE time to pick them up. Not only is there an earlier legal opinion written by Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison saying that's illegal, however, it's also unclear how any agreement could be enforced should any individual county sheriff continue to refuse to cooperate with ICE. On the bright side, Homan points out the locals are now finally agreeing to help control ICE Watch agitators.
Every chief I talked to, every one of them, promised to respond to any public safety issue when our officers are out doing their sworn duty and people start crossing the line and they start impediment, interference. Every police chief has committed to doing their job and enforce public safety. We talked to a lot of sheriffs throughout the nation. We have unprecedented cooperation. I've yet to talk to a sheriff that said no. There's still more sheriffs we are in discussions with and talking to, but I have not word that heard no. I think they want to do the right things for the communities too.
Vice President J.D. Vance yesterday on the Megyn Kelly Show calling that cooperation essential.
When Homan says we're drawing 700 people down, those are the people who were protecting the ICE officers as they went out and did deportations and immigration enforcement. Most of the people that we have in Minneapolis, they're not doing immigration enforcement. That's true even after the 700 drawdown. Most of them are protecting the immigration officers from the mob that's forming around them. The reason why Minneapolis was so chaotic is because we had to have all these extra officers doing the job the local police wouldn't do. If the local police are willing to step up a little bit, I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Democrat Governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, still complaining, meanwhile, responding to news of the drawdown on X, quote, Operation Metro Surge is not making Minnesota safer. Today's announcement is a step in the right direction, but we need a faster and larger drawdown of forces, state-led investigations into the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, and an end to this campaign of retribution. The White House yesterday announcing since the beginning of the surge, federal agents have arrested more than 4,000 criminal illegal aliens, including violent killers, rapists, and gang members. Coming up, 2 major medical organizations announcing new guidance against performing surgeries on allegedly gender-confused minors amid mounting pressure from the Trump administration, and attempted Trump assassin Ryan Routh sentenced. One of the biggest problems in American healthcare right now is access. You usually can't get medication until you're already sick. Healthcare should not only work when it is convenient for the system, though. It should work when people actually need it. And that's where All Family Pharmacy is different. They let you plan ahead by ordering prescription medications before you're sick. Wouldn't that be nice? You order online, a licensed doctor reviews your request and writes the prescription, and your medication ships straight to your door. Doesn't that make sense? It's not like people are getting high off of ivermectin. Like they want it because they're traveling, they don't want to have to wait, but they treat it like it's like some sort of contraband. Thanks to All Family Pharmacy, you won't be dealing with waiting rooms, insurance delays, last-minute scrambling, and they offer antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, ivermectin, yes, and hundreds of other prescription meds. This is about access, responsibility, and being prepared, giving you the ability to plan ahead. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Megyn. Use that code Megyn10 to get 10% off your next order. In a big win for the Trump administration's war on radical left gender ideology, two major medical organizations publicly announcing their opposition to so-called gender-affirming surgeries for minors. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. more accurately describing these surgeries as, quote, sex-rejecting procedures. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons, or ASPS, announcing Tuesday that surgeons should, quote, delay gender-related breast/chest, genital, and facial surgery until a patient is at least 19 years old. The American Medical Association, the largest association of physicians and medical students in the U.S., in a major reversal, also announcing yesterday its agreement with ASPS that surgeries should be delayed until adulthood. Quote, the evidence for gender-affirming surgical intervention in minors is insufficient for us to make a definitive statement. The association previously opposing any efforts to restrict minors from accessing these surgeries. In a 2021 statement, they advocated for, quote, interventions based on the current evidence and that enable young people to explore and live the gender they choose. The ASPS is the leading professional body governing plastic surgery in the U.S. Guidance from these medical organizations directly shapes insurance coverage, as well as malpractice standards, and whether surgeons are willing to perform the procedures at all. According to a 2023 study published by the American Medical Association, between 2016 and 2020, at least 3,215 patients between the ages of 12 and 18 underwent breast or chest procedures as part of a so-called gender transition. One of the most common procedures, double mastectomies, often referred to blithely as top surgery, permanently removing otherwise healthy breast tissue from girls in order to create a more masculine appearance. In explaining its decision, ASPS citing major evidence reviews, including a 2024 United Kingdom National Health Service review and a 2025 HHS report examining pediatric gender dysphoria research. The organization concluding, quote, these reviews have not resolved earlier uncertainties regarding treatment benefit. In some areas, they have contributed to a clearer understanding of potential harms, while also highlighting limitations of the available evidence, including gaps in documenting long-term physical, psychological, and psychosocial outcomes. Just last week, in the first case of its kind to reach trial, Fox Varian, a 22-year-old detransitioner, awarded $2 million by a Westchester County, New York jury, which found her psychologist and plastic surgeon liable for medical malpractice after pushing her into a double mastectomy at just 16 years old. More than 24 similar lawsuits now await their day in court. These announcements following a wave of actions by the Trump administration aimed at eliminating permanent gender transition procedures for children. The hospital Children's Minnesota has a gender health program. It announced on Tuesday it plans to halt all hormone treatment for minors, including puberty blockers. In a statement, the hospital making clear its decision was a direct result of federal pressure, quote, as one of the leading pediatric providers of gender-affirming care in the region, we have recently experienced an increase in federal actions directed at health systems like ours that provide this care. Good. Thank you, President Trump. In December, Secretary Kennedy unveiling sweeping proposals aimed at drastically reducing the number of sex-rejecting procedures, including cutting federal funding to government health programs that pay for these treatments. Secretary Kennedy commending ASPS in a statement, quote, by taking this stand, they are helping protect future generations of American children from irreversible harm. Attempted Trump assassin Ryan Routh sentenced yesterday to life in prison for plotting in 2024 to kill then-candidate Trump at his West Palm Beach golf course. The 59-year-old convicted in September on 5 federal counts, including attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate, assault of a federal law enforcement officer, and multiple firearms offenses. U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon imposing additional concurrent sentences of 84 months for the possession of a firearm during a violent crime, 240 months for assault on a federal officer, 18 months for possession of a firearm as a convicted felon, and 60 months for possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Routh appearing in court yesterday wearing a tan prison uniform and shackles. During his September verdict, Routh attempted to stab himself in the neck with a pen as the jury's decision was read, marshals removing him from the courtroom, binding him in shackles, then escorting him back for the remainder of the proceedings. Throughout the 2-week trial, Routh choosing to represent himself. Ahead of sentencing, he was assigned court-appointed defense attorney Martin Roth, who argued for leniency. Prosecutors countering that Routh showed no remorse for his actions, stalking Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago property for weeks, then plotting to gun him down during a golf outing. A Secret Service agent noticing the barrel of a gun poking through shrubs and opening fire, sending Routh fleeing. He was apprehended a short time later. Judge Cannon addressing Routh directly, saying, quote, "Your plot to kill is deliberate and evil, despite your feigned peacefulness. You demonstrated your intent to kill. You almost achieved your evil plan." Routh's attorney telling reporters after the hearing they plan to appeal the sentence.
I think Ryan is a remarkable person. I think he did things that most of us would never even think to do. So, for example, for him to go to Ukraine and volunteer to join the front lines and be a soldier to fight against the Russian invasion, how many people would do that? And what does that say about his character? I will be filing a notice of appeal in this case.
And that'll do it for your AM update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the MK Show, live on SiriusXM's The Megyn Kelly Channel, 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.